Competing with Samarkand for the most beautiful city on the Silk Road, Bukhara makes a great contender. An 11th century minaret towers over the old town that is filled with ornately tiled mosques and madresas. Strolling the vintage and rug markets in the old Silk Road trading domes takes you right back to the days when camels brought in silk and spices from all over the world. Bukhara is a perfect place to get lost in time, and here's how it went.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to Bukhara, Uzbekistan. This is my third stop along the Silk Road of Uzbekistan here, and I've just been so blown away by all of the beautiful architecture and history of this country. There's just so many of these beautiful stops, and Bukhara is only about 3 or 4 hours from Samarkand, and the two kind of compete for the most beautiful place along the Silk Road. And here in Bukhara, this city and the civilization around here is thousands of years old, and we have all of these ancient buildings, and there's about 140 historic buildings that are protected throughout this city. And so I'm really looking forward to just wandering the old streets and discovering all of these beautiful mosques, madresas, minarets, cute little coffee shops. And Bukhara is also known to have a lot of great shopping. So there's a lot of antiques, there's hand-woven rugs, silk scarves, and a lot of really cool stuff to discover. The city has long been a place of Islamic scholarship too, and there's a lot of these madresas, which we've seen in other places, which are Islamic schools, but there's a couple here that are still functioning and training the future leaders of Islam here in the old town of Bukhara. Yeah, let's start exploring Bukhara. We're going to start by heading just behind me here to the Poi Kalan, which is the main center of the old town, and it's where the old mosque is, this old minaret, and we'll start our exploring here. I've just made it down to the Poi Kalan, which is the center of the old town here, and there's the Kalyan Mosque, the Grand Mosque here, the second largest mosque in all of Uzbekistan. There's the Miri Arab Madrasa right across from the Grand Mosque here, and then right in front of the mosque is the Kalyan Minaret, which is this towering tower that's about 150 feet. It can be seen from all throughout the old town of Bukhara here, and it was built in 1127 AD, and it just has this magnificent height to it. It has this beautiful details all the way up, and then near the top you have a little bit of the blue tiling and just some incredible details all the way up the entire minaret. And the minaret was where the imams would do the call to prayer. On top of the minaret, they would be able to see over all of the old city of Bukhara here and be able to call out the daily prayer times for the people of Bukhara. And also the minaret is known to be the Tower of Death because they would throw people off the top of the tower here as a death punishment for certain crimes that they committed. So very interesting dark history on the Tower of Death. But yeah, so let's enjoy this main plaza here for a little bit, and then we'll head into the Grand Kalyan Mosque and see what that looks like on the inside. From the little plaza there, I entered into the Grand Kalyan Mosque here, which is the second largest mosque in all of Uzbekistan, and it can hold up to 12,000 worshippers. And as you enter, you kind of come down the stairs and you enter this massive, long courtyard here, and all along the outer edge of the courtyard, you have all of these arched doorways with just beautiful blue tiling all around them. The mosque was built in 1514 and it's been pretty well preserved since then, so yeah, it just has this beautiful old architecture. So let's walk around the courtyard here a little bit, and then we'll enter the front part of the mosque here in just a little bit. So I've just entered the main front part of the mosque here, and it's actually not that amazing compared to some of the other grand mosques I've seen. It's mostly just kind of this white ceiling, and then right at the front you have this little altar that has some beautiful detailing and tile work. And then all along the walls here you have this nice teal blue tile, but pretty small little inner area here. And then along the sides again you just have more of these beautiful white archways that lead you around the courtyard. Beautiful mosque, great courtyard, and just such beautiful tiling, and then really fun just exploring the archways that are all around the courtyard there. And then right as you exit the Kalyan Mosque, you're face to face with the Miri Arab Madresa, which has this beautiful two domes that are on both sides of this amazing archway with blue tiling all around it. And this is actually one of the functioning madresas still here in Bukhara. So you can't go in, but you can take a little peek. So let's head over there, check out some of the exterior architecture, the nice blue domes, the beautiful archway, and then see if we can get a peek inside this functioning madresa here in Bukhara. So that was the Miri Arab Madresa here right in the main square of Bukhara, and it was really interesting to see an actual functioning madrasa, which is an Islamic school, because all through Uzbekistan we've been seeing these old madrasas that have been turned into like shops and cafes and museums, but to see one that's actually functioning and seeing the students walking around the classrooms in the dormitories, we couldn't go in, but we could kind of peek inside. Anyways, that was the main square here. I'm going to head over to, there's a little cafe called Chasme Moreb on the edge of the square here, which will have some nice views overlooking the Poi Kalyan, and get some breakfast, get some coffee, and just hang out a little bit over there. So I've just come up to Chashme Merob, which is this nice little cafe. It has a rooftop terrace, and you're overlooking the Poi Kalyan, which we're just exploring with the Grand Mosque, the Kalyan Minaret, and the Madrasa. And you just have this nice view. Gonna get some tea, gonna get an early lunch, some traditional plav, and just enjoy this view for a little bit, rest the feet, and then continue exploring Bukhara. Nice little tea break up there, getting some lunch. Now came back down to the old town here and gonna just continue exploring, wandering around and checking out some more of the madresas and museums and shops around here in Bukhara. So let's walk around and check it out. Just a block from that main square of Bukhara, there's these domed buildings. This one's called Toki Zagaron, and you go inside and there's a lot of like antiques, there's some crafts, you can see like local artisan rugs and some old clothing, some old instruments, paintings, and then there's a bunch of like old souvenirs, pins, old coins, and money. So let's head into this domed shopping place and check out some of the antique shops here in Bukhara. So when you come out of the old Silk Road trading domes here, the first madrasa that I'm going to head into is to the right, and it's the Abdul Aziz Khan. And this madrasa was built in the 1650s, and it has, again, these beautiful domes, but a little slightly different than what I've been seeing in a lot of the rest of Uzbekistan. You have some blue, but there's a lot more other colors in this archway and this like kind of honeycomb effect in the archway as you're entering. So let's head over there, check out the archway, then we're going to head into the madrasa, and I think it's mostly souvenir shops and stuff inside, but we'll head in and check out some of the architecture and some of the shops inside this madrasa. Just entered the Abdul Aziz Khan madrasa here, and once again there's this nice big open courtyard, and it looks like this one has not been as restored as some of the other ones we've been in, because some of the others just have beautiful tiling all throughout, and here you just have like the remnants. It looks a little bit older, a little bit more in disrepair, which kind of gives it this old feel to it, which is kind of cool. It just feels a little bit more antique, and you just have like little scraps of some of the tiles remaining on some of the archways. But you have these archways that just surround the whole courtyard here, and then throughout the courtyard you have a couple little shops, like clothing shops, some paintings, touristy souvenir things. But let's walk around the madrasa a little bit, check out some of the interiors of some of these arches. That was the Abdul Aziz Khan madrasa. Beautiful front, but then the interior wasn't too impressive. Again, a lot of the tiling was gone or missing, but there were some cool old souvenir shops. But let's head across the street to check out the Ulugbek madrasa, which again is just right across the street. You're facing this beautiful archway as soon as you exit the other one. So let's head in here, and I think there'll be some more shops and stuff to check out inside this old madrasa. I've just entered the Ulugbek madrasa right across the street from the other one there, and entered the courtyard just like every other madrasa. And there's just, again, beautiful archways. We have this nice square courtyard, and you have 2 layers of archways all around, and this one's actually a little bit more impressive. I think they've recently done restorations here, but we have the blue tiling around all of the archways, and you can still see there's a ladder here from some of the work that they've been doing to restore this madrasa. And it's a little bit quieter here. I mean, you can hear some construction noise, but there's not as many shops. There's a couple shops as you enter, but it's more just, it feels a little bit more like a artifact because there's not all this like commercial shopping in this madrasa. So I'm gonna just walk around, enjoy the tiling, enjoy the archways, and then we'll head back to the old town of Bukhara. So that's a little bit of the heart of the downtown of old Bukhara here. A couple of those madresas, those beautiful arches, the minaret. And I'm gonna wander a little bit outside of the old town now, about half a mile heading east to, there's this old madrasa, but it's just the front gate that's left, called the Chor Menor, and it has 4 of these really tall minarets that have these beautiful blue tiled domes to them. So yeah, let's kind of go for a little wander through the old town here and head towards Chor Menor. I've just walked about half a mile through these very residential neighborhoods on the outskirts of the old town here, and I've made it to Chor Menor, which means 4 minarets. And so this was once the entrance gate to a madrasa that has since been leveled for a lot of the residential neighborhoods around here. But so this was the main gate. So you have this little archway, and I have to admit it's a little underwhelming. It's a lot shorter and smaller than I thought. These minarets are really not that tall, but one of the distinct aspects of them is that each of the 4 minarets has a completely distinct style and pattern to them, leading up to these really blue tiled domes. So I think there's like a little gift shop in the bottom of the gate here, so let's head in and check that out. So you enter the little gate here, and there's a nice little gift shop, a lot of cool clothing and artifacts and paintings. And then for 50 cents, we can head up to the roof of the Chor Menor to see the minarets from up there and see the view. So let's head up there. Alright guys, I've just made it up to the roof of the Chor Menor, and again, the views aren't that impressive because you're not that high up here, but it's just kind of cool to see the architecture of the dome up here. You can see the minarets up just a little bit closer, and then you can kind of look over the old town, but again, you're not really getting sweeping views. You're just like at rooftop level, so you're just kind of seeing the roofs of all of these kind of more modern residential buildings around here. But for 50 cents, it's worth it just to see these minarets nice up and close. So right across the street from the Chor Menor, you have this like amazing antique shop. There's just a bunch of old artifacts, there's old pins, lots of old like Soviet artifacts and nostalgia. There's tons of like pins, old money, and it's a cool little place to shop around. I already bought some pins earlier, but there's some other like really cool old antiques and like vintage money, and yeah, lots of stuff that you can look at just across the street here, which is pretty cool. I've just made it back to the Old Town area here of Bukhara, and I'm at the Liabi House Pool, which is this little pond right in the middle of the Old Town here. We have a few madresas, an old mosque, there's a lot of restaurants, and there's a lot of cafes and dining right along the pond here. So it's this nice little open air area, and then on the side of the pond you have all of these walking streets that have a lot of cool little restaurants, little coffee shops. There's street side shopping, there's some carpet shops and some old antiques again. And so just on the other side of the pool here, there's one more madresa I want to check out, and then checking out some of the architecture of the old mosques and madresas around the pool here. So let's check it out. On the eastern side of this little park here, we have the Nadir Devangri Madresa, which is one of the most beautiful exteriors I've seen here in Bukhara so far. The tiling, there's so much intricate detailing to the tiling all across the front. All of the archways are just covered with beautiful tiles. And then in the front, the main archway here, we have two of these like beautiful representations of birds on the front of the arch. So let's head into the madrasa and check it out. I think there's like some cafes and some little shops in here, so, and they do a folk show in the evening. But let's head in and check it out. I've just entered the madrasa here, and I'm in the big open courtyard, and there's just a couple of these like beautiful trees giving some nice shade, and then we have all these tables set up because again in the evenings they'll do like a little folk song and dance as like a tourist activity, so you can have dinner here and watch a traditional show. And then all along the outsides we have some nice tiles along the archways, and then there's just lots of tourist souvenir shops just lining the edge of the courtyard here. Alright guys, I've just come back to the Lobby House Park here, the little pond, and honestly it looks so nice to just have a drink there and chill and have dinner. It's about 5 p.m. so have a couple hours till sunsets, but I've seen a lot and shown you guys a lot today. There's a couple more things I want to show you guys tomorrow in Bukhara, show you the palace, a couple more madresas, some cool old architecture, and just again, one of the charms of this place is just wandering around the old streets and seeing the old winding streets. There's so many cool shops to check out, a lot of cool old artifacts and antique stores. So, but yeah, for the rest of the afternoon and evening, I think I'm just gonna hang out here by the lake, enjoy dinner, enjoy walking around. So I'll see you guys tomorrow when we explore more of Bukhara. Good morning guys, it's my second day here in Bukhara, and I was able to explore most of everything I wanted to see. A lot of the madresas, the kind of main town square, a lot of shops, a lot of cool antiques and everything. But today there's just a few more things I wanted to show you guys. Just on the outskirts of the western side of the old town here, we have the Ark of Bukhara and then an old mosque on this side. So let's start by heading across town. It wasn't too far of a walk. It's just past the Poi I Kalan, just like a couple blocks that you'll get to the Ark of Bukhara, and you will soon see just this massive walled fortress just above the city, and the walls are probably like 30, 40 feet tall here on this massive castle. And it's one of the oldest buildings here in Bukhara. It was built in the 5th century, so it's almost like 1,500 years old. And it used to be where the emirs lived, the rulers of the old Bukhara. And there was almost like a whole city in the wall here. So a lot of it was damaged and destroyed in the 1900s during the Bolshevik Revolution, but now there's going to be like a bunch of museums and inside, and I think you can climb the castle wall and get a nice view overlooking the city. So let's head into the castle and check it out. Just entered the fort here, and it was about $7, about $4 to enter, and then $3 to be able to use a camera in here. And so I've just come up, and as you walk through, you kind of go up this big ramp, and then the first thing that you see right on your left is this old mosque from the 18th century. So let's head in and check out the Friday mosque that was right here, right as you entered the fortress. Cool interior to the mosque there. Again, a lot of these buildings will be turned into museums now. So that was a museum of some old texts and inscriptions from hundreds and thousands of years ago from this area. So there was a lot of like open books, and you could see a lot of old writings and everything. So pretty cool. So let's head out of the mosque here and keep exploring the rest of this elevated fort. Next in the Ark of Bukhara here is the Coronation Hall, which is another big open courtyard here, and all along the edge we have all of these wooden columns and a little archway, and then as you enter you have this beautiful tiled arch entrance to the Coronation Hall, and then all the way at the furthest end we have a bit of a throne, which is where the coronation ceremonies would happen when there was a new emir. So let's check out the Coronation Hall. As you're up here on top of the Ark, there's a couple little rooms that you can go into, and a lot of just like museums, a lot of historical artifacts, old photographs. There's some old coins, some old clothing. So pretty cool if you want to see museums. But besides that, there's not really too much you can explore up here in the Ark, because again, most of it's still kind of just destroyed and bombed out, because it's a very large, again, it used to be like a little walled city. So there was a whole bunch of stuff within the Ark here, within this fortress. But here you can only explore like a tiny little fraction, and most of the rooms have just been turned into museums, and there's a bunch of shops and everything. So that's about it. Some interesting architecture, but honestly not that much for $7, so a little bit steep. And then across the way here, there's a little viewing platform. I think it's about $4 or $5 if you wanted to go up there to get a view looking down on the fortress. But just across the street, there's also an old mosque from the 17th century that has some interesting, unique architecture and some wooden columns, some interesting carvings on those. So let's head down from the Ark and explore a little bit more of this side of Old Town of Bukhara. So literally right across the street from the Ark of Bukhara is the Bolo Haz Mosque, which was built in the early 1700s, and it was the predominant Friday mosque for quite a while, and especially for the emirs. It was like right across the street. And so it's not that big of a mosque. It's just kind of like this open face of a mosque here. And I mean, you can go in a little bit, but it's a pretty shallow depth to it. And then, but just right here in the front, you have these beautiful wooden columns, and some of them are intricately carved, and you have these beautiful tops to the wooden columns here. And then all along the top, you have like a beautiful tiled and painted wooden ceiling. And then right at the front, you have some nice tiles creating the little archway to the mosque here. So it's actually almost Friday noontime prayer, so they're actually setting up all of these carpets, and then probably within an hour or so there'll be tons of people here doing the Friday prayer. So might hang around for that a little bit. And it also makes it hard. I can't quite go into the mosque from here, so I'll just have to admire it from the outside. But yeah, let's stick around and see the Friday prayer. Prayer time was just starting there, so the mosque was starting to fill up with a lot of people for the Friday afternoon prayer, which was cool to see. So yeah, I'm gonna head back to the old town here, and yeah, that's about it for exploring Bukhara for 2 days. And just once again, another really cool old city right along the ancient Silk Road. And it was really cool seeing those trading domes that have been around for the last 400 or 500 years, and trying to picture this city during its prime in the middle of the Silk Road era. So very cool place. Again, I'm sure there's a lot more museums to explore and madresas, but hopefully I've shown you most of the major sites here in Bukhara. But again, there's over 140 of these old historic preserved buildings throughout the city. So I still have today and a little bit of tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to just kind of exploring, walking around, checking out a little bit more of the antique shops and doing some shopping around here in Bukhara. But that's about it for the video. So I'm gonna head back to Samarkand to finish my tour of Samarkand for you guys. So I'm gonna be taking the train there tomorrow. So I'll see you guys back in Samarkand. See you there.